The air crackles with tension, thick with anticipation and the weight of history. It's dawn, September 15, 2025. The BRP Teresa Magbanua, a lone Philippine Coast Guard vessel, holds its ground in the South China Sea, surrounded by the vast, restless waters that have become a global flashpoint. On the horizon, a wall of Chinese ships looms, larger, more numerous, and heavily armed. Their presence is a show of force, a reminder of China's growing ambitions in these contested waters. The radio blares, turn back or face consequences. The message is clear, the threat unmistakable. This is no routine patrol, it's a declaration, a stand for sovereignty, for dignity, and for the right to chart their own course. For years, Manila tried to balance economic ties with Beijing while quietly protesting China's encroachment. Diplomacy and dialogue were the tools of choice, but frustration simmered beneath the surface. That era is over. The standoff at Ayungin Shoal marks a new defiant Philippine policy, one that refuses to be cowed by intimidation or overwhelmed by superior firepower. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has drawn a line in the water, signaling a turning point in the nation's approach to its maritime rights. The Teresa Magbanua's stand is a message to Beijing and the world. The Philippines will not back down, no matter the odds. On one side, the Philippines, modest in military power but fierce in pride, united by a sense of purpose and national identity. On the other, China, a superpower determined to enforce sweeping claims, using its might to press its advantage. The Chinese ships inch closer, water cannons ready, their crews waiting for the order to act. Filipino sailors brace for escalation, their nerves steeled by training and a deep sense of duty. This is no longer a distant diplomatic dispute, it's a real confrontation, unfolding in real time, with the world watching. The courage on display is a testament to a nation reclaiming its narrative, refusing to be defined by the actions of others. In Washington, Tokyo, and Canberra, every move is analyzed. Could this spark a wider conflict? The stakes are global, the risks immense. For the crew, the stakes are immediate, protecting territory, fishermen, and national honor. Every decision could mean the difference between peace and escalation. Their defiance is deeply personal, rooted in family, history, and the hope for a secure future. The standoff is a tense ballet of ships that could shape Asia's future, a high-stakes drama playing out on the open sea. The world holds its breath, waiting to see who will blink first. The Philippines stands firm, refusing to yield, determined to defend its sovereignty at any cost. The silent standoff continues, its outcome uncertain, as night falls over the South China Sea and the world watches, hoping for peace but bracing for what may come. For centuries, the South China Sea was a vital maritime highway, a crossroads where cultures, goods and ideas flowed freely between continents. It was a shared space of commerce and connection, where bustling ports thrived and merchants from distant lands mingled, forging relationships that shaped the region's history. But that image has faded, replaced by uncertainty and unease. Now the sea is a theater of geopolitical rivalry, where military might and national interests collide. Beneath its waves lie vast oil and gas reserves, resources that have become a source of fierce competition. Today, a third of global shipping passes through these waters, making the South China Sea one of the world's most critical trade arteries. China's ambition to control the sea led to the sweeping 9-line claim, disregarding the borders and rights of its neighbors and escalating regional tensions. Artificial islands rose from the sea, transformed into military bases that project Chinese power and intimidate Southeast Asian states, altering the natural landscape forever. Local fishermen were chased away, oil exploration halted, and livelihoods disrupted as traditional ways of life vanished. The sea became a checkerboard of overlapping claims, with boundaries blurred and disputes unresolved. The transformation was relentless. Open waters turned into zones of confrontation, where every encounter carries the risk of escalation. The international community watched, concerned but largely passive, as diplomatic efforts struggled to keep pace with rising tensions. The South China Sea is now a flashpoint, where a single miscalculation could have catastrophic consequences for the entire region and beyond. The era of peaceful trade has given way to permanent tension, and the future of these waters remains uncertain. The break with China was years in the making, a slow unraveling of trust and patience as tensions simmered beneath the surface. But September 2025 marked the undeniable turning point, a moment that would reshape the region's future. After yet another aggressive blockade at Ayungin Shoal, President Marcos Jr. made a historic announcement, ending all bilateral talks with Beijing, signaling a new era in Philippine foreign policy. Quiet diplomacy, once the preferred approach, was now declared dead and buried. This bold move reversed years of prioritizing economic ties, a strategy long believed to be the key to easing tensions and maintaining peace. Instead of relief, Manila faced even more harassment and ultimatums from its powerful neighbor, testing the nation's resolve. In response, the government invoked the landmark 2016 Arbitral Tribunal ruling, demanding that international law, not intimidation, be the foundation for any future talks. Manila called for ASEAN unity, urging its Southeast Asian neighbors to stand together in the face of growing pressure. At the same time, the Philippines ramped up security ties with the US, Japan, and Australia, strengthening its alliances and military cooperation. The message was clear and unwavering. Philippine sovereignty is not negotiable, no matter the cost. The risks are real. China remains the Philippines' top trading partner, and economic fallout is a genuine concern. But for Manila, the cost of inaction, of allowing its sovereignty to be chipped away, would be far greater in the long run. Allowing the slow erosion of sovereignty would be devastating, not just for the nation's pride, but for its future security and independence. The September decision was a calculated gamble, a bold stand that said it's better to confront a bully than to quietly suffocate under its growing influence. In the end, the Philippines chose sovereignty and dignity over the illusion of stability, sending a powerful message to the world. The South China Sea is a classic David and Goliath story. China, with the world's largest navy, faces the Philippines, an archipelago with a modest, aging fleet. The power gap is stark, but the real story is about resolve. Filipino sailors show extraordinary courage, facing down larger Chinese ships and enduring daily harassment. Their fight is for national soul, not just territory. The Philippines can't win a naval war, so it fights for international law and public opinion. By documenting China's aggression, Manila shines a global spotlight on Beijing's tactics. Legal victories and alliances become asymmetric advantages. The underdog narrative turns weakness into moral strength. The courage of a few sailors can outweigh an entire fleet. The world is watching the Philippines stand. In this battle, resolve is the greatest weapon. At the heart of this shift is President Marcos Jr. expected to continue pro-China policies. He instead pivoted back to the US and a firmer stance. The Marcos Doctrine: we will not give up 1 square inch of our territory. Assertive transparency became policy, publicizing Chinese aggression to build global consensus. Marcos reframed the dispute as a matter of sovereignty and dignity, not just foreign policy. By championing fishermen and linking maritime rights to daily life, he made the issue personal for millions. National resolve is visible everywhere: flags, support for the Coast Guard, and unity across political lines. While some caution against provoking China, most support the strong stance. Marcos has united a fractious country around a common cause. Defending sovereignty is now a sacred duty. The Marcos Doctrine reflects a nation standing tall. A key reason for the break with China was the failure of Beijing's economic promises. Billions in investments and infrastructure were promised, but most projects stalled or never materialized. The golden age of partnership never arrived. Projects that did proceed were plagued by controversy, high interest rates, and fears of a debt trap. Trade with China increased, but was skewed in Beijing's favor. The Philippines exported raw materials, imported finished goods, a neo-colonial pattern. Chinese investment succeeded elsewhere in Southeast Asia, raising questions in Manila. Economic disappointment coincided with rising security threats. The trade-off, sovereignty for economic gain, proved a terrible bargain. The unraveling of the economic dream gave Marcos the space to reverse course. The narrative shifted from hopeful partnership to exploitation and broken promises. No place defines the struggle more than Ayungin Shoal, home to the BRP Sierra Madre. This rusting outpost relies on risky resupply missions, now flashpoints for confrontation. China's blockade is near permanent, with harassment and water cannon attacks routine. In 2025, military-grade lasers caused international outrage. The Philippine response: assertive transparency. Journalists embedded on missions captured every dangerous moment. Viral footage of small Filipino boats swarmed by Chinese ships galvanized the nation. The conflict became personal. Hashtags trended, Coast Guard sailors became heroes. The abstract legal dispute turned into a visceral story of defiance. These confrontations unified the country more than any speech. The Philippines' stand has sent ripples across the Indo-Pacific. ASEAN, long divided, now watches as Manila challenges the status quo. Vietnam and Malaysia quietly support the Philippines as a test case. The US-Philippines alliance is reinvigorated, with expanded American access to bases and larger joint exercises. Partnerships with Japan and Australia grow, creating a new security architecture. The Philippines becomes a key node in a network of democracies. China condemns Manila's actions, intensifying military and economic pressure. The risk of the region dividing into opposing blocs grows. The era of strategic ambiguity is ending. Every nation must now choose a side. The Philippines' courage forces a regional reckoning. Open competition replaces ambiguity. The Philippines' pivot marks a new era for Southeast Asia. Manila's stand is a blueprint for smaller nations resisting larger powers. Sovereignty is defended, not traded for economic promises. The risks are real, conflict is more likely, and China's response is harsh. Yet hope rises. Alliances and a rules-based order gain new life. The region may become more stable if disputes are managed by law, not coercion. The Philippines' choice is between accommodation and resistance, short-term gain and long-term security. The world is watching as Manila takes center stage in a defining geopolitical contest. The path is perilous, but it is chosen. The courage shown may inspire a new era of resilience across Southeast Asia.